Hey there. Welcome to Zakaya's Facebook Live series on employment. I'm Brianna Bowling. I'm the founder of Zakaya, and I'm also a member of Zakaya's board of directors. And I also have with me Tina Encian, who is a recruiter at Zakaya. So today we've been doing this whole series on employment tips, and we are going to continue our discussion on interviews today. So while we're live, you can feel free to ask some questions, and we will answer them while we are live. If you happen to be watching the replay, you can still post comments below, and we'll answer them during our next live broadcast. Replays are available on our website, zakaya.com, under Insights. So with that said, I'm going to bring in Tina. So welcome, Tina. How are you today?
Hi, Brianna.
Great.
I'm great, thanks.
So in the past couple of interviews, we've been asking or we're talking a little bit about questions that you get asked during the interview and how to answer them. But we're going to kind of flip the tables a little bit today, at least slightly, and maybe ask what are some questions that the interviewer should ask the interviewee?
Absolutely, Brianna. So it's really great when people come prepared. It's nice to see people that want to work for, whatever organization that you're representing and have done their homework a little bit. So a great thing to ask is, what is the company culture like? Because we definitely want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. You're not going to be happy if you end up at a large company and you're more of a small company person at heart. We actually have a great blog post about this on our Facebook page. Well, it did post our Facebook page, but it's also on our Zakaya website under Insights. Similarly, you're not going to be happy at a small, company if you're really looking for that cosmopolitan, high energy environment that you get with a large company. So it's good to ask, what kind of company environment can you expect there? And that also goes hand in hand with, what are the company values? Of course, you're going to hear from most companies that they have ethics and pride and whatnot, but you might be surprised. Like Zakaya's company values, we also talk about things like our corporate family and how we like to invest in our corporate family, which is really our employees, and how we like for them to elevate themselves within our organization and within their own personal lives so that they can go on to be successful in everything that they do. And we also like to talk about appropriate solutions. So for our clients, we want to make sure that we're offering them the right solution for them, not that we're just trying to get them to buy whatever we think they need. We want to really listen to what their needs are and then guide them in what's going to work best for them. So when you ask about a company's values and you hear those kind of things, you can kind of see if it meshes up with your own values and get a good feel for them.
I think those are all really good tips. And I think that it's one of the things that has helped us find great employees. We have some of the best employees, and I know we're biased, but we really do. And it's probably because they do ask really good questions during the interview and we get to know them as a person. So with that said, is there anything in particular that is there anything they really shouldn't ask that you, when they ask you, you go, they shouldn't ask that one? That definitely turned me off as a recruiter.
Okay, this is and this happens a lot. You don't want to ask if it's not advertised as a remote position. You don't want to say, "Oh, can I do this from home?" If it is advertised as remote, that's different. But you don't want to say, "Oh, can I just work from home?" Similarly, you don't want to say, "How soon can I get vacation?" Well, the benefits are great to talk about, but benefits are really not an initial conversation. Discussions about benefits are something that you want to get into after you've already kind of gotten to know your recruiter and had a couple of interviews with both the recruiter and the technical staff, and they're getting to the territory where they're going to make you an offer. That's when you start talking about benefits. Plus, most of the benefits are listed in the job description anyway. So if you come in and just say, what are my benefits? What are you paying me? What can I get? Gimme. We start to think that you're not quite as interested in what you can give to our organization, which is important. We want a good collaboration between the two of us, and more interested in just what you're more motivated by what you can just get for yourself. And of course, we want to see you do well, but we also want you to be happy here. So it's good to not start the discussion on benefits right at the beginning of the relationship. If you were going to, I like to think of this analogy. If you were going to go on a date with somebody for the first time, you wouldn't ask, what's the value of the house they own? When are they planning on taking you on a vacation with them? Those sort of things. Those are later. They come a little later on when you've got a little bit of a rapport and a relationship built up. So those are the things I'd steer away from.
And those are good tips, because really one of the things that it's kind of it's a conversation where the person interviewing is trying to get it to know us, just very much like a date, and they're trying to get to know, we're trying to get to know them to see if maybe we're compatible. Because just because we're a great employer and they're a great potential employee doesn't mean that we're the best fit. And so if people go into that thinking that, I think that you're going to end up getting a great match. So those are really nice tips. And obviously things have changed and evolved over the years in terms of how people interview. I mean, years ago, people would bring, very nice, like embossed, basically, resume on really beautiful paper. We don't do that anymore. But is there anything in particular that someone should bring to an interview? I mean, should they bring copies of their resume? I mean, what should they bring to an interview that would be helpful, or not helpful? I guess both directions. Should bring and not bring.
Okay. So one thing that I definitely want you to bring, first off, most important, is your personality. I want to get to know who you are. I want to make sure you're a good fit, just as we've been saying this entire time. Don't hide who you are, because it's going to come out sooner or later. And we want to make sure that we really mesh well together. So bring your personality. If you have any type of portfolio, it's always good to bring them. In the tech sector where we are, it's going to be easier probably for you to email us your portfolio, or even bring a computer with you if you have something that you want to show us that you don't necessarily have uploaded to a server. So that's really important. Let's see, what else? You definitely want to bring a little bit of, I mentioned this before, but it's definitely a little bit of research that you've done into the company you're applying for. I love it when they say, oh, I took a quick glance at your website. I saw that you worked for this project, or you supported this customer. Can you tell me, are you still working with them? Or do you have any plans to do projects similar like that in the future? Is this something that I would see myself working on at Zakaya? Those type of things that show you've done your homework make a huge difference in an interview, and gives us a lot of great jumping off points that we can start a discussion on.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great, because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to have a good time during this interview too. So if they're making your job easier and trying to get to know them, that's perfect. And that's all we want to do in an interview, is get to know that person in a more personal and in-depth way. So I do notice that we have a few people watching today, which is great. And I'm really happy. So if you want to give us a shout out, we'd love to hear from you. Who's out there? Because we can't tell who you are. So let us know who's there. And also, if you have any questions, I have one more question for Tina, but we'd be glad to answer your questions too. So while I ask you this last question, feel free to post something. But I guess let's assume that the interview went great. Okay. I mean, everything went fabulous. They're really super excited about the job interview. Should they follow up? And if they should, how should they? And, and how often?
They should absolutely follow up. So you do want to give the recruiter and the recruitment team a little bit of time, maybe a week or two, to kind of evaluate the options and the people that they have that are applying, and to make sure that they can meet with all the hiring managers and kind of go over your resume and how the interview went. So you do want to give them a little bit of time. But after about a week or two, it's great to check in, because recruiters are human too, and we are all busy. Some of us wear many different hats. And when we're recruiting for many different positions, sometimes, things get overlooked, and we don't want that to happen, but that's the way, a busy business is, a successful business is. So if you haven't heard from your recruiter and you think that interview went fantastically and you're wondering what happened, it's absolutely appropriate to check in 1 to 2 weeks. I will caution you though, because we do so much work for government contracting, even though I don't recruit for the government, I'm going to help some of you guys out. If you've ever applied for a government job, that can take significantly longer. So while it's still appropriate to check in, their hiring process can run into the months. So don't be surprised if you don't get a response from them every week, or, necessarily constantly updated about where you are in the process. But it's still appropriate to reach out.
Again, great tips, Tina. I mean, I've appreciated everything that you have shared with me and also with every single person watching this. I know right now the employment, it's a whole new field out there. It's totally different ways of doing things. And we're all trying to adjust, both the recruiters and the employers. So I really appreciate you taking the time to share your tips and tricks. And so we are going to move on to another series. I'm not sure when it's going to start, but it will be starting soon. And so stay tuned, and we shall see you soon. So thanks again, Tina. See you later.